Welcome to the second unit within the aromatherapy for home use course. In this presentation, I'm going to build on the theory aspect of aromatherapy so that you've got a little bit more understanding. But we're also going to focus on basil oil and introducing you to a very different type of oil to lavender. Basil oil is nice and stimulating and invigorating and very, very good for clearing the mind and for memory. We're also going to include another method of use. So we've done neat application with lavender oil. Today we're going to talk about one of the most useful methods of use, and that's having a bath using the essential oils. So I've included in this some recipes for you to follow, how to emulsify the oils into the water, because otherwise they just sit on the top. So I've introduced you to another method of use, building on your knowledge of aromatherapy and how to use it at home. So far, we know that the essential oils are concentrated. Now, if we want to massage them into the skin, we need to blend and dilute the oils with a carrier or base oil. Now, good carrier or base oil that we use tends to be a vegetable oil. And our main oil of choice in aromatherapy is grapeseed oil. It comes from grape seeds and it tends to be cold pressed. Now, most of the oils you buy in the supermarket are hot pressed. So, for instance, olive oil the olives will be boiled within an inch of their life and then pressed to give us olive oil. Now, sometimes the process of boiling is such a high temperature that it takes all the colour out of the oil, and the oil is then dyed back to the colour that it originally should be. Then they can actually present it to us as a natural oil. So by this time, if it's been hot pressed, it's got no properties left in it at all. A lot of the goodness in that oil has disappeared. So this is why we have extra virgin, we have virgin olive oil. It's not just the amount of times that it's pressed, it's also down to whether it's hot pressed or whether it's cold pressed. If you have a cold pressed oil, you're getting all the goodness, you're getting all the acids that are very good for cell membranes coming through into the oil, so that for us, using our carriers and base oils can also be like adding a salad dressing onto your skin. So for instance, grapeseed oil is the least allergenic oil that we know of. It's very good for stimulating and preventing heart disease. The acids that are in these oils are very, very good for putting back the moisture, elasticity, and helping the body on a cellular level. The other oil you might use is a cold pressed sweet almond oil. Now that seems to be the preference for the beauty industry, but obviously if you've got a nut allergy, you don't want to be going anywhere near almond. It's also more expensive than grapeseed oil. We also use apricot kernel. That's a lovely oil to use on the face, and its partner peach kernel is also a lovely cold pressed oil to use on small areas because it's quite expensive. So generally, grapeseed oil would be our preferred choice. Sweet almond, a good alternative. But for smaller areas like the face, we could use a little bit of apricot or a little bit of peach kernel. But these are pure cold pressed vegetable oils. They're not the ones you buy at Sainsbury's or Tesco's. You can use them if you've got nothing else available. Your sunflower oil in the cupboard will be fine. But they are a little bit stickier and tackier because they would have been mass produced and they would have been hot pressed. Today we're going to talk about basil oil. The only oil we use in aromatherapy is Ocimum basilicum. Basil oil. Lovely, invigorating, stimulating oil, very cephalic, so very good for stimulating the mind and the brain and helping you to have more clarity. So if you're feeling a little bit sort of woolly and you're not sure what's happening and you're a little bit stressed and you're not sure where you're going or even trying to think straight, then basil is a very good oil for bringing clarity in your thinking. Basil is very, very popular in the cooking industry, especially the Italians and salads. It's a really, really useful oil and widely used. It's very popular and versatile herb. Although there are 50 to 150 species of basil, only one is used in aromatherapy. Many of the oils sold with basil are infused in carrier oils or base oils, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to explain to you what a base or carrier oil was in this presentation. If you can see in the pictures here, you get lots of really lovely quality olive oil infused already with basil oil. Not necessarily, though, the basil that we use in aromatherapy, which is the most refined and extracted by steam distillation. So when you come to buy your basil oil, make sure that it's not one that's already diluted and blended in a carrier oil. You want to buy a pure essential oil and be able to use basil in all the different methods of use. Because if you tried to use a diluted basil oil already in a carrier, not only are you not going to get such a good effect, but if you use it where there's heat, there's nothing worse than that awful smell of heated oil, the carrier oil. So do make sure that when you buy it online that it's a pure essential oil that you're looking for and not a blended basil oil. Basil oil. The only one we use in aromatherapy is Ocimum basilicum. This is the oil of choice for all aromatherapists. It's also known as sweet basil. It's extracted from the flowers and the leaves of the plant. And basil is excellent for clearing the mind of worries and clutter and for uplifting one's spirits. So it's a very happy oil. So you could use basil in two ways to affect the physical aspect of the body or psychological benefits. Basil, if you inhale the aroma of it, is really good for helping a lack of concentration, for clearing the head, relieving stress, getting rid of listlessness, giving you a feeling of uplifting. It's very aniseed in its aroma and it's fresh and stimulating. It's a lovely, lovely aroma. The physical benefits are fainting. You can use it for sinus and respiratory conditions. It's very good for clearing headaches and migraines. On the skin, it's as well as lavender, it is excellent for alleviating the pain of wasp stings and bites. It's also anything that you can use in cooking tends to be very, very soothing to the digestive system. So if you're suffering from IBS or you have diarrhea and vomiting, it's very good for soothing the digestive spasms. So basil can be used a lot on a tissue and in a vaporizer for clearing the head and helping you concentrate. It's good for memory, it's good for learning. Or if you use it in a bath or in a massage There's lots of ways, inhalation even for the respiratory system. There's lots of good ways of using this oil. The therapeutic properties that basil have, which the molecular structure gives us, it gives us biochemicals which are antispasmodic, cephalic, that means it focuses the mind. It gives us biochemicals which are good for the reproductive system, that are a good tonic for the skin and for the nervous system. And it gives it uplifting chemicals as well. So as an antispasmodic, this is very good for muscle spasms. So basil would be really good for stomach and intestinal cramps. Also excellent for muscular aches and pains, including musculoskeletal sort of conditions like arthritis and rheumatism. Because it's cephalic and it helps to focus the mind, it's very good for aiding concentration, for memory, as I said before, for listlessness. Reproductively, it normalizes the reproductive system and helps to stimulate periods. So although it's contraindicated in pregnancy and with people wanting to get pregnant, because it does stimulate periods, and that's not what you want if you're trying to get pregnant. So it is contraindicated in pregnancy and with people trying for a baby. But it does bring on scanty periods. So if you're having irregular periods or your periods are very few and far between, then basil is very good for stimulating periods. It's a good tonic for the skin, so excellent for acne in particular, helps to clear the skin. It's a good nerve tonic, so basil would be indicated for anyone who's suffering from anxiety, stress, tension, maybe bordering on hysteria, palpitations, that type of thing. Also, people who can't sleep, so for insomniacs. It's very uplifting, and it's good for lifting depression, for uplifting your mood. So basil is a lovely, fresh aniseed oil and mixes with a lot of different other oils as well. So the safety data of basil, you do need to use it cautiously. With anybody, if you have someone in your family who's trying to get pregnant or is an expectant mum, you would avoid basil oil, particularly absorbing it through the skin. Basil has chemicals in it which are called amenagogues. Amenagogues promote menstruation, and that's not something that we want to do for a pregnant lady. So basil, certainly you need to remember, no basil for pregnant ladies. It also can be quite stimulating and irritating to people who have very sensitive skin. So if you have a sensitive skin, either do a little patch test, which is put a little bit of the oil diluted on the inside of your arm, or avoid it altogether. You might get away. I mean, I'm quite sensitive skinned. I can use basil with no problem at all, as long as I don't use too many drops in the bath or too many drops in a massage. It doesn't irritate my skin, but everybody's different. So do be aware that basil does have a history of irritating skin, particularly if you have sensitive skin. If you get worried about using basil, then leave it up to a qualified therapist for these conditions. So trying to keep you safe, trying to allow you to use basil for all those wonderful stimulating, invigorating reasons, but do be aware that there are some people you can't use basil on. Ideas for how to use basil then. Obviously, in a bath is a really effective way of using basil. We're absorbing it through the skin and we're also inhaling the aroma of it. So it's very good for menstrual problems, as I said before. If you're not having periods very regularly or they're scanty, then basil is really good to use in the bath. It's very good for relieving stress, inducing sleep. So good for as an insomnia. Good for stress, anxiety, tension, depression. So a bath would be a good way of using basil. Could also use it in a compress. So for insect bites and wasp stings, basil is very good for insect bites in a compress. If you have a chesty cough or you've got lots of phlegm, sinus or colds, then basil is really useful to use in an inhalation. If you've got a vaporizer or you want to use the oils on a tissue, you can have the same effect. So you'd put a couple of drops in a tissue or a vaporizer. And again, it's good for uplifting, for depression, tension, anxiety, and stress. Essential oils like company. And to mix 2 or 3 essential oils together can give you the most wonderful aromas. What other oils does basil blend with? Well, it's really, really good with citrus oils. So within aromatherapy, we have bergamot, which you can find in Earl Grey tea. We have lemon, grapefruit, mandarin, sweet orange, bitter orange. We have a lot of different citrus oils that we can use, and basil mixes very, very well with those. So bergamot, geranium, lavender blends well with basil, lemon, grapefruit, mandarin. Marjoram is nice with it as well. Marjoram's another herb that we might readily use in the kitchen, and very sedating, marjoram. So the balance of having something that is mentally stimulating but physically mixing it with marjoram, which is very sedating, gives you a very good all-round blend. So it mixes very well with these oils as well. So we're going to discuss method of use and using the oils in a bath. So you'd fill your bath with water as usual. Just make sure that the water temperature is not so hot that it'll make you sweat. The skin can't absorb oils into it if it's putting out and sweating. So you need the water to be hot, but not so hot that you sweat. The oils also, if you sprinkle them on the top of the water, are not going to mix with water. So you need to emulsify the drops of oil you're going to put in the bath with either a little milk or a shampoo. So about 10 mils of milk or shampoo should be enough in a small bowl just to mix your 6 drops of essential oil into the water. So 6 drops is enough for a bath. So we're going to mix the 6 drops with the milk or the shampoo base, whichever you prefer. And then we're going to stir them and blend them into the bath. We're going to swish and mix them in. So 6 drops is the ultimate amount of oil for a bath. Then you need to soak for at least 20 minutes so that you can absorb the oils through the skin and inhale the oils. So this is one of the best methods to use essential oils in. So the combination of having different drops is entirely up to you. So if you choose to have 3 essential oils in your bath, then you might just decide to have 2 of each, but you could have 1 drop of something you really like, and then have 2 drops of something you like more, and 3 drops of your favorite oil, or you could have 1 and 1 and 4 drops. So you can vary it, and there's no right or wrong blend. It's personal and it's up to you which oil you would like to have more of. Got a few recipes here for you to try in the bath. Again, it's 6 drops, and you could try basil, geranium, and lavender for depression. You could try clary sage, geranium, and chamomile for PMT or menopausal symptoms. Clary sage, rosemary, and lavender is a really nice mix for aches and pains. Do be aware of the contraindication for rosemary if you have high blood pressure, though. And clary sage you wouldn't use if you're going to work machinery after a bath. So eucalyptus, rosemary, and peppermint is the best one to alleviate a headache. Just be careful how many drops of peppermint oil you put in a bath as well, because that can be very cooling. So I wouldn't use all 6 drops using just peppermint. Tea tree, lemon, and chamomile is a very good immune boost. So there's a few recipes that you can try, and as we build on our knowledge of the oils and we build on the amount of oils we know quite a lot about, then we can add in some different recipes. So last time we covered neat application of oils and how you could use your lavender neat on the skin. Today we've talked about basil and the different combinations of oils you can use with basil so that you can successfully have a bath using the oils. You can see by talking about lavender in the last presentation and now basil just how very different the essential oils are, and the biochemicals within them are very, very different as well. So they give us these different properties to allow us to find the best blends to use for different conditions, and also to offer a choice in this first aid kit so that if you didn't like lavender, you've got other choices for different conditions. And if you're not too keen on basil, then there's other oils that you can use. So let's press on to the third part of the aromatherapy for home use.